studies, or if you are pursuing technical studies, you all know that the importance of management studies, the importance of technical studies goes hand in hand. If you are willing to pursue management, you should know what is the latest technology and how to utilize that latest technology. Similarly, if you are a person who is into technology, you should also know how to manage. And that is the reason why these two goes hand in hand. So once when we are talking about communicative English will cover something which is called as letters, something which is called as email, which are part and parcel of our day-to-day life. Whenever we are talking about communication, communication happens through verbal or non-verbal, which we are going to discuss in the class. So what do we understand by verbal? What do we understand by non-verbal? What are the different letters? What are email writing? What are internal communication and what are external communication? We are also going to talk about the four important segments which are part of communication. So whenever we talk about communication, you should all remember communication is divided into four important categories. Category 1, you should have great listening skill. Category 2, you should have great speaking skill. Category 3, you should have great writing skills. And category 4, you should have great reading skills. So if you are a person who can listen, who can speak, who can read, and who can write great English or good English, of course, you are going to have great command on communication. So when we talk about communicative English, they are divided into 5 different chapters. Chapter 1 talks about letters, which are to be utilized whenever we are communicating or interacting with the people at management level. Second chapter talks about internal communication, which covers notice, memo, agenda, minutes of meeting, as well as proposal writing. Chapter 3 talks about report writing. It talks about compositions. It talks about paragraph writing. It talks about all the different kinds of writing skills that are required in order to run an organization. Then chapter 4 talks about speaking and listening, wherein you people will understand why listening is so important, why speaking skills are so important, and apart from listening and speaking, how do we present ourselves? So what are the common presentation skills that we should have in our mind if we really want to become an effective communicator? And finally, you are going to study about the life of the 3 great personalities. You must have heard about N.R. Narayana Murthy. You should have also heard about Subhash Chandra. You should have heard about Rahul Bajaj. So in your syllabus, under the segment called reading and composition writing, there are 3 different essays which talks about the success and failure stories. So for example, when we talk about any person on this earth, of course, they have tasted the fruit of success. But you cannot say that they were blessed with the golden spoon and they only tasted success. Apart from success, they had faced a lot many problems. So we should understand if we are talking about success, of course, there are certain failures and those failure stories and how one has to really tackle those failures to achieve success. Why should we talk about this? Because I am dealing with management students who are either pursuing business administration or computer application. After 2 years or after 2.5 years, I really want to see you all stepping into the field of entrepreneurship, wherein you all can set something of your own. Many a times it happens that people, they believe that they have great ideas, they have great skill set, and they can do something of their own. Your parents are definitely going to support when you have that great idea. So please remember, when we talk about success stories, it doesn't mean that if a person is successful, only after a certain period of time the person will be successful. I don't know how many of you watch KBC, but yesterday there was a contestant who had participated in KBC, and then you must have heard about him, that how he started helping his uncle, how he started developing his business, and with the help of technology, he was able to grow the net worth of the business from 1 crore to 8.6 crores. And this is what the real life story is. So I want everyone to understand, you all should have the career goal. You all should set your career plan. What are you going to do after 2.5 years, after the completion of BBA or BCA course? After BBA and BCA, what is your next plan of action? And then, are you going to look forward for higher studies? If you're really looking for higher studies, Where are you going to pursue it? What would be its cost? Are you going to bear the cost on your own, or will you be still dependent on your parents? So you should think about all these. Show that your people are matured enough. Show that your people are smart, young, intelligent. Millennials, they are bright, brilliant, and I am always excited, happy whenever I conduct these kind of classes, particularly with the millennials. So I once again welcome you all in today's class. In the very first class, we are going to understand about business letters. This is the first part of your chapter that covers the different types of letters. All right. So can I come to know from your side? Let us interact. Let us understand. Why do you think letters are important? Do you think letters are important? Do really writing letters are so important in terms of management or in terms of organization? What is your opinion? Quickly in the chat box. Do you think letters are important? If yes, type Y. If no, type N. Quickly. Do you think letters are important? So Ismail says yes, Atul says yes, Divyanshu says yes. What about the others? Okay, everybody says no, but except Adrit Verma. Can I know, Adrit Verma, why do you think letters are not important? Why? Can we get the information in the chat box? Why do you think letters are not that important? You have mentioned no. So do you think letters are? But sweetheart, don't you know that emails are electronic mails and mail means letter? In fact, whenever you are writing email, you are writing a letter. So this is the confusion. This is the wrong mindset. This is the myth that we continue with. We believe letter means only writing on piece of paper and with the help of a pen or a pencil. No, the days are changing. We all are tech savvy. So the letters have transformed from pen and paper to electronic version. But still, whenever you are writing a letter, you are writing emails, all right? That is a part of your letter writing. So please understand letters are very, very important. Even if you are writing it on a piece of paper, or if you use any kind of electronic media. Both are one and the same. So letters are really very, very important. And why letters are so important? Because that helps us to inform, or it helps us to instruct, it helps us to convey, it helps us to share the information, the relevant information that we want to share with the other party, with the other concerned person. How can we do that? We can write a letter to them. All right. Gone are the days where we used to write the letter on inland letter, postcard, or like we used to have those envelopes wherein we used to put the information and then write the address and post the letter and then wait for the response for at least 10 days, 12 days, 15 days. But we cannot deny that even today, after the like intervention of technology, after the transmission that had happened in terms of organization and development, you cannot say, ma'am, letters are not important. Of course, letters are very important. You have taken admission at ISL. If we do not issue the letter to you now, what is going to happen? There can be a confusion whether you are a student of ISL or not. So the letters are really very important. The documents are very important. If electronically your mark sheet is released, but you also know that if you don't have the paper with you, there cannot be evidence or there cannot be any proof. So you should also understand the importance of papers and documents, and that is the reason why we are going to talk about writing letter not only on pen and paper but also electronically. But we are going to talk more about the content. Please remember, I will be sharing about the format, but after understanding the format will remain same, all right? So keep this in your mind. We need to emphasize more on the content. We have to really emphasize more on the words that we use. How do we connect with the audience with the help of our letters, all right? So yes, letters are amazing. Do you remember a father who had written a letter to his daughter? You must have studied about this great personality. In fact, I should say they both were great personalities. Do you remember something written by a father, a letter written by a father to his daughter? Yes, of course, Jawaharlal Nehru. And he had written this letter to whom? To whom did he write this letter? It was written to Indira Gandhi. Excellent. Yes. So whenever we talk about letters, letters are very, very important. And how many of you have received postcards? quickly in the chat box. Yes, you have received I. If you have received the postcard, you should write I. If you haven't received the postcard anytime, any postcards, then mention N. N stands for no. So you can see that even these days you are receiving postcards, except few. Of course, there can be many students, as you people are millennials, many of you do receive emails instead of receiving the postcards. But yes, if I talk about the years like 1980s, 1990s, when the technology started intervening, before that we used to completely depend on letters. But after the boom in internet or technology, what has happened, the pen and paper letter got replaced with emails. All right, so therefore, please remember, whenever we talk about letter, dear, email are also part of letters. You cannot distinguish these two these days, because if you are talking about any letter, how are you going to send? Of course you are going to send it via email. But in case if you don't have your email address, and if you don't have the person's email address, Adrit, my question to you, if you are not having the email address, can you send email to the person quickly? Yes or no? Can you send email to the person without having his or her email address, dear? No, it's not possible, right? So we should have their email address. And even after having the email address, we should have what? Dash is very, very important to send your email. Without this, you cannot, of course, internet. So you all know that the students, they are finding difficulty in attending classes. Why? Because they don't have the facility of internet. When we talk about the remote areas, the connection, the flow of internet is again restricting them, and because of that poor internet connection, what happens? Many a times, people, though they are willing to participate, though they are willing to engage themselves, but still you will see they cannot communicate. And at that time, we should have some kind of option in alternate. That means there should be certain substitution, and emails could be substituted with the help of pen and paper letters. All right, so moving ahead, when we talk about uh, business letters, whenever we are talking about business letters, let us understand what is business letter, how they are important, and what we have to keep in our mind whenever we talk about the business letters. So let us start today's session, which is related to business letter. So moving to this first concept, when we talk about the business letters, please understand, please remember, the first thing that everybody should keep in mind is the format. All right, this is very, very important. This is very crucial. Often when I am interacting with the students, they always say that, ma'am, my teachers have taught me in a different way. No, you should remember, your teachers were teaching you one and simple thing. If you are talking about a common, when I'm talking about common letter, business letter, everything should be left aligned. I want you all to keep this in your mind. And please remember, if you really want to learn quickly and if you want to score 9 CGPA, which is very easy to score, if you really want to score 9 CGPA, you should always have a paper and pen with you, so that whatever important points that we are discussing, of course, I'm going to share these slides. I will be sharing the study material, but simultaneously, you should record all the necessary information. So, point one, we should keep the letter whenever we are writing the letter, while writing the address, while writing the date, while writing the subject line, when we are starting the salutation, when we are talking about the body or the content, and finally the complimentary close. Everything is left aligned. All right, so keep this in your mind. Of course, in certain government organizations, you will see the letter may vary, the structure may vary, but only when you are working in those organizations. But if you really want to score great marks without any confusion, I just want you to keep this one word in your mind: left. It should be left aligned. When I say left aligned, I'm going to explain Shubham Arman everything. Don't we have patience, all right? I did not finish off this slide here. So the moment once when we are talking about left alignment, you all have used different notebooks, right? But every notebook, you will see that after like there is a margin towards the left side from where we are going to start the sentence, from wherever we are going to begin the sentences. So keep this in your mind that left margin is an indicator that is always indicating you to start the new line from the left side. Many a times I see students showing their art. All right, what do? They leave one finger gap, they leave two finger gaps. So for example, when I'm talking about addresses, so from address, when you write your name, it starts from left alignment. Then next, if I'm talking about your address, home address, or anything, so that goes on slantingly, all right, and there is finger gap, finger gap, finger gap, and there is a beautiful style that is created. But because of this wrong style, what is going to happen? You're going to lose your marks. So keep this in your mind. If you really want to score good marks, and if you really want to get great marks, keep left word in your mind. Everything left aligned. Every line should start from left alignment, all right? So even the paragraphs, now gone are the days when we leave two finger gap after each and every paragraph. Now even the next paragraph that you're going to start will be from left aligned. Yes, of course. How are you going to indicate that you have changed the paragraph? By leaving one line, all right, or by giving a space of one line. By leaving the space of one line, if it is email, by leaving a space of one line. But if you're writing on a piece of paper, then leave one line. If it is a ruled line sheet, then you should leave one line in order to indicate that you have changed the paragraph. What is the first thing that comes up? From address. Whosoever is writing the letter, they are going to write their address first. Now, point to be noted, whenever you are using any letterhead, if you are writing any letter on letterhead, letterhead is something which is designed by the organization. Already on the letterheads, you will see the address of the organization will be mentioned either on the header or footer. What do we understand by header? Something on the top of the paper. When we talk about footer, footers are those which are at the bottom of the paper. So please remember, if the address is already mentioned, and if the address is mentioned either on header or footer, then we do not write from address. Repeat, whenever we are writing on the plain white sheet, we start from address. But if we are talking about writing a letter on a letterhead, writing any of the business letters on a letterhead on which already the address, the contact number, the email ID, or even the complete contact address is mentioned, we do not write, we do not mention, we do not include from address. Am I clear with everyone? Quickly, if you could understand about this concept, if your concept is clear, write C in the chat box. If you could understand when to write from address and when not to write from address. When should we write from address? If it is a plain paper. And when we are not going to write the from address, quickly in the chat box. When are we not going to write the from address? If we are writing the letter on dash, if we are writing the letter on dash, we will not mention from address. Fill up the blank. What is that dash to be filled with? Quickly. When you're writing the letters on dash, you are not going to write from address. What would be the answer? All right, we call it as letterhead. We call it as letterhead. You all should know what is letterhead. All right, so keep this in your mind. This is a management term, and you all are going to use these terms in your day-to-day life. So we do not write from address. I'm talking about from address. All right, please keep this in your mind. I'm talking about from address, and when I'm talking about from address, we will not mention from address if we are writing it on letterhead. All right. So what is the word that we should keep in our mind? Quickly in the chat box. What are the two words that I said? Letterhead. Letterhead, no from address. Can I ask everyone to please write down this in the chat box? Letterhead, address is already mentioned, so no from address. On letterhead, no from address if the address is already mentioned. Then comes the next point, that is to address. To address is mentioned because we should know to whom we are sending the letter. So we should keep this in our mind whenever we are writing a letter on a piece of paper, whenever we write to address. So in the address, of course, you're going to mention the name of the person, you're going to mention the lane, house number, the area, the location, along with the PIN code. And then comes date. Now date, it could be mentioned over here, it could be mentioned the place after two, you can mention the date either on the left side or on the right side. I repeat, date could be mentioned either on the left side or on the right side. Then comes subject. Subject is very, very important. Why subject is very important? Because whenever we talk about official letters, whenever we are talking about business letters, or whenever we are talking about formal letter, so please remember, in case if somebody is asking what is business letter, what is a formal letter, and what is an official letter, don't get confused. They are talking about one and the same thing. All right. So business letter is also known as official letter. It is also known as formal letter. What is the opposite of formal letter? Quickly in the chat box. What is the opposite of formal letter? What is the opposite of formal letter? Very good. Informal letter. And can you give me an example of informal letter? Can you let me know what is an example? When will we call it as informal? When we write a letter to, whenever we are writing a letter to, very good, father to son, friends or relatives. Excellent, Harshita. Excellent, Megha. Very good, dear. Very good, Atul. Very good, Sakib. Very good, Manjeet. Yes, whenever we are writing, yes, Shubham, whenever we are writing to friends, relatives, and when it is not professional. In case if somebody asks what are informal, you should remember not professional or unprofessional. All right, dear. Please remember, many a times it happens that when you're working in an organization, even your colleagues, they will become a part of your family and friend, isn't it? So when we are not talking anything professional, when it is unprofessional, then we call it as informal. So remember the word professional. So business letters, there are two other names for business letter. One is official letter and the other one is the formal letter. So whenever we are talking about business letter, official letter, or formal letters, the subject line is very, very important. Why subject line is so important? Because of the subject line, or after reading the subject line, the reader of the letter will decide whether to continue or to discard. I repeat, because of the subject line, or after reading the subject line, the reader of the letter will decide whether to continue or to discontinue reading it, whether the letter is important or unimportant, whether the letter is related to the organization or not related to the organization. So please remember, writing subject line is very important. And whenever we talk about subject line, we always write them in phrase. We always write subject line in phrase. We don't write the complete line. We do not write the complete sentence. Say, for example, if you are taking a leave for 3 days, you will not say, I am taking leave for 3 days. No, you're not going to mention that in the subject line. What are you going to write down in the subject line? Leave application for 3 days. Regarding leave, this is again an order. You cannot write regarding leave because you are a person who is requesting, you are applying for leave. So therefore, we don't write regarding leave. We will write leave application. We always apply for leave. And this is the common thing which every management student should understand. Even if you are pursuing BBA or BCA courses, you should remember whenever you take a leave, it is an application. And whenever you apply for a leave, it can be accepted or it could get rejected. So please remember, the subject line that we are going to use should be in phrase. I repeat, the subject line that we are going to write down should always be in phrase. Then comes salutation. What do we understand by salutation? How do we greet the person? Say, for example, if a person is very, very senior, if in case if I give you an example, Adhurit, we do write sir and ma'am at the point when we don't know the person. Whenever we do not know the person, we have never interacted with the person and we don't know who the person is. Adhurit, please remember this. Whenever the person is absolutely not known to us, we mention only sir and ma'am. Whenever we are writing to a person who is super senior, Harshita, remember this, whenever a person is super senior, the person who is of great the great position or of who's having the great profile. Say, for example, if you are talking about institution like ISM, whenever you are writing to vice chairman, sir, whenever you are writing letter to chairman, sir, whenever you are writing letter to director, sir, whenever you are writing letter to your faculty coordinator, you can mention respected sir, respected ma'am. And that is the reason why when you people were in your school and colleges, they made you write honorable. We do not use the word honorable because honor is a word to be added with the person who was awarded with some honor. All right, in general you should know that honor is to be given and to be acclaimed for. So therefore, in general, we use respected sir or respected ma'am. We do not write Mr. or Miss Shubham Arman. Reason being, it is absolutely unprofessional and informal. Generally, the Americans, whenever they start the letter, they only start with the name, the first name. So when we talk about communicative English, we always talk about respect. So giving respect or sharing respect starts with respected sir, respected ma'am. And then when we talk about colleagues, whenever we are talking about interacting with our colleague, interacting with our senior, interacting with our juniors, we write dear sir, dear ma'am, dear sir, dear ma'am. When we do not uh, bit of one venerable, I really want you to check what is the word meaning of venerable. All right. So please remember, and we are going to talk about these like unfamiliar words. We are going to discuss about unfamiliar words, Dheeraj. You need not worry about that. Using synonym and using thesaurus is really good. But yes, you should remember. Now, say for example, a person who has never encountered this word, who had not heard this particular word, all right? So he may not understand. So whenever we talk about communicative English, this is the beauty of this particular paper. Use always simple, easy to understand words. All right. The words which are oratory, the words which are unfamiliar will always create confusion and dilemma in the minds of the people. So therefore, Dheeraj, I'll appreciate if you can understand the importance of using simple, short, and straightforward language that we are going to talk about in our complete chapters. All right, beta. So please keep this in your mind whenever we are addressing to a person who is super senior. We write respected sir or ma'am. When we are talking about our seniors and colleagues who are working at same level or at a designation which is senior to us, then we write dear sir or dear ma'am. We use the word dear to show that we know you. All right, acquaintance, knowing a person will help you to communicate in a better way. So therefore, we include dear sir or dear ma'am. And then finally, when we don't know a person, I have never come to know whom I'm talking to, but still I want to show my respect. I really want to show my respect or a kind of sincerity. What am I going to do? I'm going to just write sir or ma'am. If I'm talking to a person who is very young to me, all right. So, for example, when you have crossed certain age and when you are interacting with a kid, of course, at that time you can write Mr. or Miss, as Shubham had stated. Clear with everyone? Salutation means how are you going to address the person to whom you are writing the letter, with whom you are having the interaction. Then comes the content, the body part. This is very, very important. Avoid using the common phrase which I have every time instructed students not to use. Most humbly and respectfully, I want to beg. I often see students writing only this common phrase every time whenever they are writing any kind of formal letter. Change it. And how can you change it? By knowing what are the important things, what are the important points that you have to keep in your mind whenever you are writing the letter. So keep the body or the content part in your mind. All right. With all due respect, yes, Shubham, you can write. All right. So whenever you are writing the letter, the content, here when I am talking about the content, I want you all to focus on the arrows that I'm showing. I'm talking about introduction, I'm talking about purpose, I'm talking about explanation, and then I'm talking about conclusion. The content of the content of the letter must include introduction. Say, for example, when we are talking about ourselves, if we are talking about our organization, if we are talking about any product, if we are talking about something which is not known to the people, then you need to introduce. Then comes the purpose. What is the reason? This is, say, for example, whenever we are talking about any letter, the introduction and the purpose will be the part of first paragraph. All right. So please remember, Ismail, it's not only about short and stating the purpose. And please remember, check the spellings whenever you are writing. There should be no spelling error. So whenever we are talking about the first paragraph, as rightly stated by Mr. Ismail, that we need to include introduction and the purpose. Then comes the details. And whenever we are talking about the detail will be included in explanation part. And finally comes the conclusion. Now, then comes the complementary clause. And how do we end the complement? How do we end the letter with a complementary clause? And what do we understand by complementary clause? Thanking you, yours sincerely. Can everybody please in the chat box, can you write down how do you write yours sincerely? Quickly, how do you write yours sincerely? I'm talking about your sincerely. See, this is what the communication gap is. Priya Amrita, I did not ask you to write your faithfully. Again, your faithfully is a wrong word. Kumar Devyani, yours truly again is not acceptable. So you need to listen to what teacher is saying, and you have to understand communication gap should be avoided. Yours sincerely. All right. Adharit, it is yours, not your. You sincerely again is a wrong word. Your sincerely is a wrong word. Your sincerely, please remember there cannot be any apostrophe. Arav, you are using apostrophe, which is wrong. All right. So please remember, apostrophe is wrong. Whenever you are using apostrophe, it is wrong, dear. All right. And sincerely, spelling should be correct. Obediently is used only when you are in schools and colleges. All right. When you have to obey, when you have to follow the given instructions, you have to obey your parents, you have to obey your teachers, you may have to obey even your boss. So, but when you're working in an organization, you show always your sincerity, you always show your like honesty. So therefore the word that we use is sincere and faithful. All right. So yours sincerely, the right way of writing yours sincerely is like this: yours sincerely. The spelling of sincerely should be right, should be typed in a right way. You should not use apostrophe. As I've stated, Sakib, again you are committing mistake. Yours. Whenever you are including yours, this means your. Apostrophe s is the wrong way. It is a wrong way. Yes, Manji, that's the right way. Yours sincerely. All right. And if you just write your, many of you have written only your. If you write only your, all right, then we just write sincere. All right. Now, genuine. Who is going to check your genuinity, Swastik? And how will you let others check whether you are genuine or not? All right. So therefore, please remember, use the words which are acceptable. That is what I said. Many a times people try to explore more and add something new, which actually they don't know. How can you prove that you are a genuine? All right. So it is the parameters to check the genuinity or to check even true nature is very difficult. Sincere, it is bond to. It is something which you have to really like follow and do it. All right. You are adhered to do it. So therefore, please remember, sincere is the right word, sincerely. If you are just writing your, in case if you are writing only your, then ly should be eliminated. Ly should be eliminated. Then it will be yours sincerely, your sincere. All right. So next, this is an example. This is the next kind. This is an example of an application. You can see here when I am talking about application, I have mentioned here from address, then respected sir or ma'am, and then I introduced. I would like to bring to your kind attention that my name is, this is your introduction, and you are studying in which particular section and semester, then your roll number. This is about your introduction. Then the purpose. What is the purpose? I'm really very sorry to inform you that due to dash, due to the reason, I'll not be able to attend class for the next dash days. This is the purpose and the explanation. the purpose and the explanation. Considering my situation, I request you to grant me leaves for dash days starting from so and so day to so and so. So this is the conclusion. Please remember, when we talk about communicative English, it should be simple, easy to understand, no irrelevant talk. Nothing irrelevant should be included in the letters. Is this clear with everyone? That's the end of today's class. That's all that I wanted to present today. And I want you to please revise this. So whenever you get any time, I want you to revise this. And here is the link. Here, I'm sharing with you all the link on which you all need to get your attendance marked. All right. So this link is going to get closed by 11 o'clock. All right. So please, Shubham Arman, this is not the right platform wherein you're going to talk about your personal problems. All right. Please. So if you are talking about roll numbers, always remember, dear, whenever you have any issues related to your official email address or about your roll numbers, I'm not your faculty coordinator. Whosoever is your concerned faculty coordinator, they are going to reach to you and they have shared all the necessary information. So if I'm talking about BBA, B section, Mr. Rahul Kumar Sinha is the faculty coordinator. And if I'm talking about BCA, B section, Shashikant Dikshit sir is the faculty coordinator. They are going to reach to you, they are going to generate the WhatsApp group, they are going to communicate with you all related to the timetable, related to any kind of issues that you are facing. All right, dear. So you should know to whom you should communicate. Why are we talking about this? Because this will solve your problem instantly. Otherwise, you will be unnecessarily sharing the information with others wherein they are not the right people to answer your problem. All right, dear. So that's the end of today's class. Take care of yourself and have a fantastic day. Don't forget to do the revision. All right. God bless you all. Take care of yourself.